No one in Washington expected it to be said out loud, and certainly not with that level of blunt force. But that's exactly what Eric Swalwell did. He didn't soften the question. He didn't wrap it in procedure or polite language. He didn't hide behind the careful phrasing designed to protect careers. Instead, he locked eyes with Kash Patel and spoke the one name everyone had been avoiding in connection with those files: Trump. And then he demanded answers about Epstein. Watch this all the way through, because the moment you see Patel's expression, the entire exchange suddenly makes sense. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications. This story isn't ending tonight, and you'll want to be here as each new piece falls into place. Now let me take you into the room. This was supposed to be a closed-door Senate Intelligence Committee session. At the last minute, it was shifted into a public hearing at Swalwell's request. He said the public deserved to see what was about to happen. That alone should have raised eyebrows. Now we know exactly why. Patel entered the room the way he always does, confident. 3 attorneys beside him, 2 aides close behind. The familiar walk, shoulders back, chin high, the unmistakable posture of someone who believes he's already survived worse storms. He's been through countless hearings. He knows how to deflect. He knows how to stall. He knows how to endure. What he didn't anticipate was Swalwell. The first stretch of the hearing was routine. Intelligence budget questions, counterterrorism updates, a little back and forth about surveillance protocols. Patel handled it smoothly, delivered his usual non-answers, glanced at his watch more than once, looked almost bored. Then Swalwell took the microphone. "Director Patel, I want to talk about the Epstein files." Patel's expression didn't change. He'd heard this before. He had his standard response ready. "Of course, Senator. As I've stated in previous testimony." "I'm not interested in your previous testimony," Swalwell cut in. He opened a folder, thick, red, tabbed with colored markers. "I'm interested in what you haven't told us." The room shifted. You could feel it. That moment when everyone realizes something is about to happen. "Specifically," Swalwell continued, "I want to know why every document in the Epstein files that references Donald Trump has been reclassified since you became FBI Director." The room didn't just go quiet. It froze. This wasn't ordinary silence. This was the kind that hits all at once, when dozens of people stop breathing at the same time. Patel's expression flickered. First shock, then irritation, then the reset. That controlled, neutral look politicians wear when they know the cameras are watching. "Senator, I have no knowledge of any reclassification aimed at documents concerning any specific individual. No knowledge. This is an internal FBI memorandum dated March 15th of this year, 3 months after you assumed your position. It instructs the Classification Review Board to fast-track a review of all Epstein-related materials that reference current government officials or individuals connected to them." He raised it so the cameras could see. "It bears the signature of your deputy director. Are you seriously telling this committee you had no knowledge of it?" Patel's eyes flicked toward his attorneys. Nothing. No notes. No whispered guidance. This wasn't something they could save him from. "Senator, classification reviews happen regularly." "There is nothing regular about this," Swalwell shot back, his voice sharpening. Still controlled, but climbing. "Since you took office, 23 documents that were already approved for public release have been pulled back and reclassified. Every single one of them mentions Donald Trump." He leaned forward. "That's not a coincidence, Director. That's a pattern." This is where it turned explosive. Patel tried to pivot, tried to frame it as politics, tried to paint Swalwell as a partisan attacker. "Senator, I find it disappointing that members of this committee continue to pursue politically motivated..." "Politically motivated?" Swalwell laughed. Not a real laugh, the sharp, bitter kind. "Director Patel, I'm not the one who reclassified documents to protect a former president. You are. I'm not the one who swore an oath to uphold the law and then buried evidence. You did." His voice was rising now, and the tension rose with it. "Do you have any idea what's inside those documents? Do you understand what the public would learn if they were actually released? Patel's jaw locked. Senator, I'm not going to speculate on classified material. Then I'll spell it out for you. Swalwell grabbed another page. This is an unclassified summary of witness testimony from 2019. A woman employed at Epstein's Palm Beach residence. She provided 14 names, 14 men she personally saw with underage girls at that property. He didn't look away from Patel. One of those names was Donald Trump. The room erupted, not with noise, but with reaction. Audible gasps from the gallery, reporters lunging for their phones. Senators exchanging looks that ranged from disbelief to something like relief, as if something unspeakable had finally been said out loud. Patel tried to interrupt. Senator, that testimony was fully reviewed. And then what? Swalwell snapped. Stamped classified? Locked away? Erased from view? He was on his feet now, standing. I've never seen a senator do that mid-hearing. The FBI has had that testimony for years, and instead of investigating it, instead of following the leads, instead of doing the work the public expects, you reclassified it. He pointed straight at Patel. You didn't protect national security. You protected Donald Trump, and everyone in this room knows it. This is the moment that's going to be everywhere. Swalwell lifted a large color photograph and held it up so everyone, including the cameras, could see. Do you recognize this photo, Director Patel? It showed Trump and Epstein together, that widely circulated image from Mar-a-Lago. Both men smiling, both comfortable, familiar, because they were. This image has been public for years, Swalwell said. What the public hasn't seen are the additional photographs taken at that same event. Images currently logged as evidence inside FBI storage, images your office has refused to release. He placed the photo flat on the desk. So tell me, Director, what's in those pictures? What are you hiding? Patel was sweating now, not metaphorically, actual beads forming on his forehead under the harsh lights of the hearing room. Senator, releasing evidentiary photographs involves complicated factors, including privacy concerns and potential investigative. There is no investigation. Swalwell slammed his palm onto the desk. The microphone jolted. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is serving time. That chapter is closed. The only reason those photos remain classified is because someone powerful doesn't want them seen. He locked eyes with Patel. And we both know exactly who that someone is. Let me pause here for a moment. If you've made it this far and this matters to you, hit like on this video. That doesn't just help me. It tells YouTube this conversation needs to be heard. And leave your thoughts in the comments. This discussion needs to grow. Then came the silence. A full stretch of silence in a congressional hearing. An eternity. That's what it looks like when a witness has no answers left. That's the moment viewers realize they're watching something that won't be forgotten. Patel sat completely still. His attorneys had nothing to offer. The rehearsed talking points he came in with went nowhere. Everything he prepared collapsed the instant someone finally said out loud what others only hinted at. When he finally spoke, his tone was different, lower, guarded. Senator, I completely reject the suggestion that the FBI has acted to shield any individual, regardless of political affiliation. All classification decisions are made strictly on the basis of legitimate national security and law enforcement concerns. Swalwell slowly shook his head. Director Patel, here's what I see, he said. I see an FBI director appointed by Donald Trump, an FBI director whose career is tied to Donald Trump. And for the past 11 months, I see an FBI director systematically concealing evidence that links Donald Trump to a convicted sex trafficker. He began stacking his papers. That isn't law enforcement, he said. That's obstruction. Then he looked straight ahead. And I promise the American people, this committee will uncover the truth, even if I have to personally subpoena every document in that building. Technically, the hearing continued after that. Other senators took their turns. Other questions were asked. Cybersecurity, foreign interference, procedural noise. none of it mattered. No one was really listening anymore, because the only thing echoing in that room was what Swalwell had just put on the record, out loud, on camera, with no ambiguity. Donald Trump's name appears in the Epstein files, and Kash Patel has been keeping it buried. Within minutes, the footage spread everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, cable networks cutting into scheduled programming. Legal analysts immediately began debating whether Patel's testimony crossed the line into obstruction of justice. And somewhere inside FBI headquarters, staffers were almost certainly scrambling, trying to prepare answers to questions that were never supposed to be asked in public. I need to pause here and explain why this matters so much. For years, people have speculated about what's in the Epstein files, who else was involved, which powerful figures were protected. It's fueled conspiracy theories, online investigations, and endless late-night conversations. But speculation is not the same as evidence. What Swalwell did was present evidence, actual documents, actual memos, actual witness testimony that names names. And the name that keeps coming up, the name that keeps getting protected, the name every reclassified document seems to orbit around, is Trump. Let me be very clear, I'm not saying Trump is guilty of anything. That's not my role. My role is to report what happened inside that hearing room. And what happened was this. A sitting United States senator laid out evidence suggesting the FBI deliberately shielded a former president from material linking him to Jeffrey Epstein. If that doesn't alarm you, I'm not sure what would. So what comes next? Swalwell announced the committee will move to subpoena all 23 reclassified documents. He's demanding a closed-door briefing with the Classification Review Board. And he's calling for an Inspector General investigation into how Patel handled Epstein-related evidence. Will any of that actually move forward? Honestly, I don't know. Washington is very good at making things disappear. Attention fades, memories shorten, another controversy takes over. The cycle keeps moving. But this moment isn't fading. That clip isn't disappearing. That image of Trump and Epstein isn't going anywhere. And the question Swalwell asked, "What are you hiding?" isn't going to stop echoing. Patel now has to answer. He has to explain why 23 documents were pulled back. He has to explain why every single one involves Trump. He has to look directly at the American people and insist this is all just coincidence. Good luck with that. I can't stop replaying that scene. Swalwell rising from his chair, pointing straight at Patel, saying out loud what people have quietly wondered for years, but what no one with power was willing to put on the record. You protected Donald Trump, and everyone in this room knows it. That isn't politics. That's an accusation. And accusations like that don't disappear. They hang in the air. They demand answers. They create pressure. Pressure that builds and builds until something breaks. Something is going to break here. Maybe not today. Maybe not this week. But the wall protecting those files, the wall Patel has been maintaining, is cracking. Swalwell just took a sledgehammer to it. 3 minutes. That's all it took for Eric Swalwell to do what no one else would do. Say the name. Make the connection. Demand answers Kash Patel clearly doesn't want to give. The Epstein files. Donald Trump. This isn't a conspiracy theory anymore. It's a congressional record. And Patel sat there sweating under the lights with no answer and nowhere to hide. The truth is coming out. One hearing at a time. One document at a time. One senator willing to speak at a time. If you're wondering where this story goes next, there's one simple thing to do. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I'm staying on this, and when something breaks, you'll see it here first. Share this video too. This conversation needs more eyes on it. And one more thing you shouldn't miss. Before Patel unraveled here, something else happened. Jim Jordan, yes, Jim Jordan, directly asked Patel where the Epstein files were and caught him in a contradiction live on air. If you haven't seen that exchange, you're missing a critical piece of the timeline. Watch that next. Once you see how Jordan boxed Patel in, what Swalwell did afterward makes a lot more sense. Stay with this.